What was your reaction?
Well, that's disgusting.
This is what disgusted Jack Sanchez. A package of fresh salmon at Costco in New Rochelle with a live worm in the fish.
It looks perfect behind the glass, glowing under fluorescent lights, arranged like jewelry on a bed of crushed ice. The salmon's pink is vibrant. The cod is clean and pale. The shrimp are plump, curled just so. To the average shopper, it screams fresh. But here's the truth most never see. Fish doesn't spoil like milk or meat, it performs. Spoiled beef browns, milk curdles. But fish plays dead a little too well. By the time you smell something's wrong, it's already too late. And by then, it's on your plate. The illusion is everything. Grocery stores know that. That's why they keep the lights cold and bright, why they spray mist over the case, why they pack it on clean, white trays that look sanitary, even if the product inside has been sweating for hours. What looks icy cold might have been refrozen. What looks wild caught may have crossed oceans. And what smells fine could still be crawling with bacteria. This isn't about paranoia, it's about awareness. Because under all that marketing, those clever labels, that polished display, there's a truth few consumers realize. In the seafood section, looks can kill. Fish is delicate, too delicate. It's the diva of the protein world, fragile, unpredictable, and dangerously good at pretending everything's fine. Beef gives you signs, it changes color, smells metallic. Chicken gets slimy, turns pale, sends warnings. But fish can look perfect, right up to the moment it poisons you. That glossy fillet you picked up with tongs, admired under the lights, could be harboring invisible threats, parasites, histamines, colonies of bacteria multiplying with every passing hour. Here's the terrifying part. Fish spoils faster than any other protein on the shelf. Why? Because its cell structure breaks down rapidly once it leaves the water. And unless it's handled perfectly, from the moment it's caught to the second it hits your pan, it becomes a risk. Not a mild risk, a hospital risk. Even refrigeration isn't enough. If the temperature strays above 40 degrees, even briefly, bacteria flourish. And unlike chicken or beef, cooking doesn't always kill what's lurking inside. That's the danger hiding in plain sight. Because fish doesn't shout when it turns, it whispers, and most shoppers don't know how to listen. One bad step, one warm truck, one careless employee. That's all it takes. You don't just buy fish, you buy trust. And most stores haven't earned it. Walk into Walmart and the seafood case looks just like any other. Cold, neat, affordable. But lean in closer. Really look, and you'll see the cracks. Cloudy liquid pooling in the bottom of packages. Edges of fillets that look gray instead of pink. And that faint, metallic scent you can't quite place? That's not the ocean, that's decay. Multiple reports from health audits and whistleblowers say the same thing. Walmart's seafood department is a ticking time bomb. Temperature logs are either ignored or missing. Some fish displays hover at 45, even 50 degrees. Too warm. Far too warm. At that range, bacteria don't just survive, they thrive. It's like giving pathogens a jacuzzi. And the packaging? Thin vacuum seals that puncture easily. Once they're compromised, fluids leak. Fish juice spills into carts, onto hands, across checkout belts. Cross-contamination waiting to happen. One former employee admitted fish was regularly thawed, then refrozen. That's not just against food safety guidelines. It's dangerous. Refreezing ruins texture, sure, but worse? It lets microbes dig in deep inside the flesh. And customers? They're left holding the bag. Literally. With trout that smells like sour milk by morning, and shrimp that slimes its way across your fridge. This isn't fresh, it's frozen roulette. And the house always wins. They say it's just a couple degrees. Just 42, maybe 43. And what's the harm? But when it comes to raw fish, a few degrees can be deadly. The FDA's rule is clear. Seafood must be stored at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Not 41, not 42. Because the line between safe and spoiled isn't generous. It's razor thin. Above 40, bacteria like Listeria and Vibrio don't just survive, they multiply. Rapidly. Every minute at 42 degrees is like rolling dice with your health. Now here's the problem. Many grocery stores, including Walmart, don't consistently hit that mark. In independent checks, fish cases often hovered in the danger zone, sometimes for hours. One report showed shrimp sitting at 46 degrees Fahrenheit for half a day. Another found a stack of tilapia at 49. On the surface, still looked fine, but inside, colonies were growing, invisible, silent, unstoppable. And yet, the display signs still said fresh, still advertised premium quality. Because they count on you not knowing the science, on you trusting the cold, on you not asking questions. But fish doesn't forgive temperature mistakes, and your body won't either. It's not about numbers on a dial. It's about safety. And when stores play loose with the rules, they're not selling dinner, they're selling risk. Trader Joe's feels different. The handwritten signs, the quirky product names, the Hawaiian shirts and friendly small talk at checkout. It feels like a place you can trust. But behind the murals and frozen aisle charm, the fish tells another story. Tests have shown that some of Trader Joe's most popular frozen fish aren't what the label says. Wild-caught salmon that's actually farmed trout, snapper that turns out to be tilapia, and mahi-mahi, sometimes not mahi at all. This isn't just a labeling error, it's a betrayal. Because when the label lies, everything else is a question mark. Where did it come from? Was it frozen, thawed, and frozen again? Is it safe for someone with allergies? One mother bought wild salmon for her daughter. Had it tested after a bad reaction, it was trout. Cheaper, fattier, and riskier. The employees don't always know. They're trained to stock shelves, not identify species. A former worker admitted fish sometimes sat in the back for 30 minutes before hitting the freezer. No temperature checks, no urgency, just good vibes and cold air. It's easy to be charmed by Trader Joe's, that's the point. But charm doesn't keep fish fresh. And clever branding doesn't erase contamination. You might love the atmosphere, but your dinner deserves more than murals and hope. You see the words and feel relief, wild caught. It sounds cleaner, healthier, natural. But here's what they don't tell you. That sticker doesn't mean what you think it means. And sometimes, it's flat out wrong. Studies have uncovered widespread mislabeling in grocery chains across the country. One test found that nearly 1 in 5 wild fish fillets were actually farm-raised. Trout sold as salmon, pollock packaged as snapper, cheaper cuts disguised as premium. Why does it matter? Because wild fish and farmed fish aren't the same. Not in nutrition, not in safety, and definitely not in sourcing. Farmed fish are often raised in crowded tanks, fed pellets, exposed to antibiotics, dyes, even parasites. Wild fish swim free. They eat natural diets, they build lean muscle. They're harder to catch, and more expensive. So when a label says wild, but you're getting farmed, you're not just being misled, you're being overcharged, and possibly put at risk. Some farmed fish carry higher levels of mercury. Some have been linked to antibiotic resistance. And if you're allergic to a specific species, a labeling lie could send you straight to the ER. The truth is, wild caught is a promise. And too many stores are breaking it. Not with a recall, not with an apology, but with a quiet swap behind the packaging. One that only benefits them, while you pay the price. At Kroger, the seafood section might look routine. Tidy displays, colorful labels, smiling staff behind the counter. But behind those counters, a different story is unfolding. One that begins with a sink full of lukewarm water and a frozen bag of tilapia. Multiple former employees have confirmed what inspections later proved. Frozen fish left to thaw in standing water. Not under refrigeration, not with ice. Just a shallow tub and time. It's faster that way, they said, but faster doesn't mean safer. That water becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. And once it gets into the flesh of the fish, no amount of cooking can fully undo the damage. It doesn't stop there. Inspections at several Kroger stores revealed raw fish stored inches from ready-to-eat shrimp. No barrier, no separation, just cross-contamination waiting to happen. One audit described shrimp cocktail trays sitting next to raw fillets. Same gloves, same knife, no washing in between. And yet those shrimp went straight into customer carts. No warning, no label, no second thought. This isn't a one-time mistake. It's a pattern. A culture of cutting corners in the name of speed. Because in these stores, the priority isn't safety, it's shelf appeal. Even if what's behind the glass could send someone straight to the hospital. At Kroger, seafood isn't just mishandled, it's mishandled with confidence. It only takes one slip, one knife, one careless moment. But in many seafood counters across the country, that moment happens again and again. Audits from health departments have exposed a chilling truth. Cross-contamination isn't the exception. It's the routine. At some grocery chains, employees use the same cutting board for salmon, shrimp, and cod, wiping it down with a damp towel in between. Same gloves, same surfaces, no sanitizing. One inspector described watching an employee cut raw tilapia, then immediately turn to slice pre-cooked shrimp. No wash, no glove change. Just a quick wipe and a smile for the next customer. It's easy to overlook in the moment. Everything looks clean. The ice glistens. The fish is neatly arranged. But bacteria don't need a visible mess. They just need opportunity. Raw juices from one fish can carry harmful pathogens, Listeria, Salmonella, Vibrio. And if those juices touch ready-to-eat items, you're not just buying dinner, you're bringing home danger. Some stores claim they follow protocol. But when staffing is short and the lunch rush hits, shortcuts become survival tactics. And by the time that cross-contaminated seafood hits your fridge, the damage is already done. The truth is, most customers will never see what happens behind the counter. But their stomachs, they'll feel it. At Safeway, the seafood looks pristine, bright fillets, neat displays, chalkboard signs that whisper, responsibly sourced. But behind that clean image lies a sleight of hand, one that smells more like cover-up than quality. Former employees have come forward with unsettling admissions. Old fish, spritzed with lemon juice, not to enhance flavor, but to mask the smell. Lemon cuts the odor just long enough to get it into your cart. And if that sounds bad, it gets worse. Audits revealed thawed fish being sold as fresh, with no indication it had ever been frozen. That label, it matters. Once frozen fish is thawed, the clock starts ticking fast. Shelf life drops from days to hours. But at Safeway, that thawed fillet might sit on ice for the entire day or longer. No rotation, no warning. Just a sticker that says fresh and a smile from behind the counter. Customers have reported opening packages at home to find fish that smells like ammonia or feels slimy to the touch, and yet it passed the in-store test because it looked good enough to sell. The fish may be breaking down, but the illusion, still holding strong. At Safeway, freshness isn't guaranteed, it's guessed. And when they guess wrong, you're the one who pays. It sounds comforting, doesn't it? Responsibly sourced. It gives you the feeling of safety, like someone, somewhere, did the right thing. But here's the truth. That phrase, it means almost nothing. There's no federal standard, no enforcement, no legal definition that holds stores accountable. Any chain can slap responsibly sourced on a package of fish and call it a day. It doesn't tell you where the fish was caught. It doesn't explain how it was handled. And it certainly doesn't protect you from what happens after the catch. The fish might have come from a factory farm in Asia, raised in overcrowded pens, fed antibiotics and chemicals, banned in the US, then shipped halfway around the world, and still labeled as responsible. Worse, the phrase is often used to distract. You see the label, you feel good, and you stop asking questions. But sourcing has nothing to do with what happens in the store. It won't tell you if the fish sat at 47 degrees for 6 hours, or if it was thawed last week, repackaged yesterday and labeled fresh today. You think you're buying peace of mind, but you're just buying packaging. Responsibly sourced is marketing, not a promise, and certainly not a shield. If safety matters, look past the sticker. Because real responsibility, it's not printed in bold letters, it's practiced, or it's not. Meyer feels safe. The floors are spotless. The staff smiles. The lighting is soft, even warm. It's the kind of place you'd bring your family, the kind of store that feels honest. But the fish counter tells a different story, one that doesn't make it into the weekly ad. Behind the friendly facade, Meyer's seafood section has been quietly failing some of the most basic freshness standards. Consumer reports found that out of 30 samples of prepackaged fish, nearly half were borderline spoiled within 48 hours. Some were labeled good for 5 more days, but the smell said otherwise. It wasn't just a fluke, it was a pattern. Fish arriving thawed, yet still labeled as fresh. Fillets sweating inside fogged up plastic wrap. Sourcing details so vague, the label might as well say, somewhere on Earth. Even their frozen options scored low in blind taste tests, described as bland, soggy, oddly metallic. Not just disappointing, potentially dangerous. And then there's the training. One whistleblower from a Michigan store said seafood staff received a single 15-minute session. No follow-ups, no thermometer checks. If it looked okay, it got stocked. At Meyer, the seafood case is curated like a display. But looks don't tell the full story. And behind that calm, Midwestern charm, spoiled fish waits quietly, hoping you trust what you see. Frozen is supposed to mean safe, locked in time, preserved, protected. That's the promise, but only if it's handled right. The truth? Frozen fish is only as safe as every link in the chain. And once that chain breaks, it doesn't matter how cold it once was. In many stores, frozen fish arrives solid. But during transport, stocking, or restocking, something goes wrong. A slight thaw, a delay in the back room, and then it's frozen again. That moment of softness, it's invisible to the shopper, but not to the bacteria. Refreezing fish damages the cells. It changes the texture. But more importantly, it lets microbes slip inside. And when you thaw it at home, they wake up hungry. Some grocery chains even fail to label it properly. Previously frozen, conveniently missing. Because that label makes fish seem less premium, less fresh, less profitable. So stores skip it. They let you believe it's been frozen from catch to checkout. But that's rarely true. Customers open the bag to find ice that's flaky, edges that look burned, fish that smells just a little off. The packaging may be sealed, the barcode may scan, but what's inside might be halfway to spoiled. When frozen isn't handled right, it's not a safety net. It's a silent trap, and most people don't see it coming until it's far too late. It starts far from the store, in murky waters, overcrowded pens, factories disguised as fish farms. Much of the seafood in your grocery cart traveled thousands of miles. From places where regulations are loose, inspections are rare, and water quality is an afterthought. Shrimp from ponds in Vietnam, filled with antibiotics banned in the US, and tilapia from China, raised in sludge and fed waste. Salmon from overfished waters near Chile, where parasites thrive. And it all funnels into the same place, your plate. The global seafood supply chain is vast, murky, and shockingly unregulated. Once fish is processed and frozen, the trail goes cold. It might be handled by 4 or 5 companies before reaching the shelf. Each step introduces new risks. Each border crossed, a little less traceability. Stores label it product of multiple countries, which really means they don't want to tell you. And those toxins, they don't vanish. They build up. Mercury, microplastics, chemical residues from contaminated feed, especially in large fish like swordfish, tuna, and farmed salmon. You thought you were eating clean. You were eating confusion, packaged, priced, and pushed into your cart with a smile. This isn't about fear, it's about truth. Because the supply chain isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended, just not for you. Step behind the counter, and the truth starts to leak out. Not from the packaging, but from the people who worked there. Whistleblowers from major grocery chains have come forward. And what they've shared, it's unsettling. One employee from a national chain admitted the seafood department never used thermometers. They went by touch. If it feels cold, it's fine. But cold to the hand isn't cold enough for fish, and bacteria don't care how it feels. Another confessed to relabeling thawed fish with extended dates. Fish that should have been tossed after 2 days, given 3 more and a fresh sticker. Training, 15 minutes, 1 walkthrough, no tests, no refreshers. Just memorize the labels and stock the shelves. They weren't trained to spot spoilage. They weren't taught about cross-contamination. They were taught to sell. In some stores, fish was left out during restocking, sitting for 20-30 minutes at room temperature. No timer, no rotation, just a rush to make the case look full. These aren't accidents, they're habits, embedded in the culture, invisible to the customer until someone gets sick. The signs were there. But the stores stayed quiet and the fish kept selling. Because in the grocery industry, truth is bad for business. And silence? Well, silence is shelf stable. Not all fish is dangerous, but the dangerous ones don't always look it. So here's your final warning and your first line of defense. Start with the smell. Fresh fish should smell like the ocean. Not ammonia, not sour, not a little off. Then the texture. It should be firm. Spring back when you press it. If it feels mushy, walk away. Check the packaging. Is the liquid inside clear or cloudy? Cloudy means trouble. Read the label. Really read it. Does it say previously frozen? Does it list where it was caught? Or just vague words like responsibly sourced? Ask questions. If the person behind the counter can't tell you when it was thawed, that is your answer. And if you ever doubt it, don't buy it. Because food poisoning doesn't come with a refund. Fish is fragile. It deserves care. And you deserve honesty. So the next time you're in front of that seafood case, ask yourself, do I trust this store to protect my health? If the answer isn't a full, confident yes, put it down. You deserve better. We all do. If this opened your eyes, hit that like button. We are Evil Food Secrets, and we're just getting started. Share it with someone who needs to know. Drop a comment. Tell us your experience. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives that reveal the truths hiding in plain sight. Because the danger isn't just what's in the fish, it's what they're not telling you. And now, you know.